Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Hello and welcome to today's program. Today what I want to talk about is mindset. Oh my God, it's so important. Mindset. What does that mean? Well, it means your mindset, how you're using your mind. And what I'm going to start with by saying junk in, junk out is what are you putting in your mind, right? So I know, and I've worked with enough doctors who are trying to build a practice. And one of the things, there's a couple things. One is that if you're sitting there and you have this mindset where you look and say, oh my gosh, if I want to go out and talk to attorneys about injuries, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? And you think. Oh, I got to get better. I got to get more polished. I got to be this. I got to be that. And it takes you away from action. It's the wrong thing. Right now, you can get one of the things I want to talk about is in mindset. You have to be protective of what you're feeding your mind. So your mind is a tool. It's a tool that you use to determine or to help you to determine what you need to do in order to make something happen. That's what it's designed to do, right? Now, it does better under situations where you're feeding it good data, where you're feeding it good material. So a lot of doctors surround themselves by people that are constantly feeding them bad information, or constantly feeding them bad news, or constantly look at the negative, look at the negative, look at the negative, look at the negative, look at the negative. Oh my God, look what could happen. Look what could happen to you. Oh my gosh, and negative. Well, if you're feeding and you have people around you that are continuously feeding you negativity, right? You're watching the news all the time. You're watching negativity. It's immediately going to start, that mindset is going to be negative. Your mindset's going to be more negative. And so you're going to be programming your own mind to be negative. So, you got to take a look. Now, whether you understand this or not, so every one of us has this mind that we use to make things happen, right? For some of us, we control it extremely well. We tell it what we need and it goes and gets it. We are not dictated, or we're not dictated. We don't have random thoughts that are continuously popping up on us and bothering us and, thinking, we don't have somebody constantly in our head telling us things. So some of us do. And the way that you start to help that, if you are a doctor out there that is like that and you want to grow a practice, you got to start to actually get the mindset and be surrounding yourself with people who have a like mindset of you. That's really what you want to find. Somebody who is motivated. So I remember when I used to train, I played college level sports, and when I would train, what I was looking for is someone who was better than I was at training, if possible, or at the bare minimum, just somebody that would train with me, right? So if I couldn't find somebody, I happen to be a very, very good long distance runner, even though I didn't like to do it. I played high level rugby. I played college basketball. I played some college baseball. And in basketball and in rugby, you have to train, you have to run a lot. And so, I would have to find somebody to actually train with that would run with me. Sometimes it was multiple partners because I'd burn them out, right? So, but it made it a lot easier for me to do what I'm doing. So, finding that those partners or those group partners in the Smart Injury Doctors program that I run, we have a Facebook group, and the whole thing is designed to actually bring like-minded individuals so that when you get the no, when you get the negative, when you get the you can't do this, when you get that's not the way it's done, when you get all of that you can face, you're not confused. So one of the things that's interesting in the mind is if the mind knows, if you totally know something, it's very hard to get confused. But confusion is contagious. So if you're not solid on what you know, you're not solid on your understanding of things, then that's a mindset too. If you think, okay, good, I just need to know this enough, and you're fairly mediocre at it, that's a mindset, right? There's some people that I know that won't tolerate that. They excel at being very, very good at what they do. And they do it until they are good at what they do or they find something else to do. So mindset is everything. And what you're feeding it is everything. When you go home at night, what are you looking at? If you want to grow an injury practice, are you looking at and excited about, hey, let me look at some information that could help me to get better results with my patients? Let me actually hook up with a local doctor, a local chiropractor, a local lawyer who has the same goals that I do. Let's go out to dinner. Let's actually do some family things together. Let me find others. Instead of being a lone ranger in the market like many, many doctors are, you want to find local doctors that have the same mindset that you do. You want to find people that have the same mindset that you do and that want to actually improve and increase. And if possible, you want to find somebody who's better, who's faster, who's stronger, who's more able, who's quicker than you are. Right? Because that's what seriously helps you. Now it also helps them because it helps them to assist another because it strengthens what they know. It strengthens what they understand. In our Facebook group, the reason why I have doctors ask questions of other doctors is because when the doctors are answering, one, they get motivated, and two, the more that they can answer and help another, the more that they understand what is being taught in the program. So mindset is really everything. And so, I want you to think about when you're thinking about something, maybe you're thinking about this podcast right now, and maybe you're having thoughts about it, right? But what thoughts are you going, okay, you having negative thoughts or are you having positive thoughts? Are you seeing what you can take out of this and use tomorrow and you're happy about it? Or are you like sitting there cutting it down and being critical about it? If you're sitting there cutting it down and being critical about it, take a look at your mindset, because if that is your mindset, if you're a person who's constantly looking at something in a critical manner, you're looking for how am I getting ripped off or how is this a problem, then that's what you're going to have. That's exactly what is coming to you. That's mindset. So if you need to shake it up and change it, the first way that you change it's like any other thing, is you have to observe it. You have to look at it. I mean, when you were a kid, when you were an 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, when you woke up in the morning, all you were thinking about is, what am I going to do? How much fun am I going to have? Where can I find the next piece of fun? And things were fun. They were bright. They were new. Well, look at the mindset of you at that time and what you were looking at. So if things aren't fun for you right now, if things are not good or they're not going the way that you want them to, look in your mind. I mean, are you looking at all problems and you're just dwelling on these problems and you're looking at these problems and everything else? Or are you dwelling on solutions and are you going, wow, this is an amazing game. I got a puzzle here and I get to figure out the puzzle. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of times, and I know this is true in my own life, in my own practice, is that when you're struggling, you're struggling with how to do something. You're struggling with, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Or how do I market? Or how do I run staff? Or how do I get better results? Or how do I manage this patient? Or what do I do with this? How? And this is interesting because I don't know if I picked this up from Russell Brunson or if I picked this up from somebody else. So if I'm misidentifying who taught me this, I apologize. But what they taught me was, and it was really profound, is that when you're struggling, you're struggling with how. And what you should be looking for is who. Who has already done what you are struggling with? In other words, if you're struggling building a marketing piece, good. Who's already built a marketing piece? Who's your who instead of your how? Don't struggle with the how. Find the who. But it's a mindset. You know, if your mind is, oh my gosh, I can't afford, guess what? You can't afford. And guess what? The patients you're going to attract to you can't afford either. Right? If you're like, oh, that doesn't work, and guess what? It's not going to work for you. And guess what? The people you're going to attract to you it doesn't work for them. That's mindset. So you got to look, you know, in chiropractic, I remember one of the things, you know, that was taught was, you know, all things improve from the inside out. Well, it's very, very true. If you're trying to grow an injury practice, it's the same way. Things grow from the inside out. And generally, you will be minimizing yourself, and you don't need to. You don't need to at all. And whatever that minimization is that you do, whatever that mental trick of whatever your thoughts are that you may be doing, it's not real. It's not true. And you can change it in a heartbeat. But first you got to see it, and then you can change it. Then you can improve it. And you improve it by aligning yourself with people, with events, with education, with things that align with your purpose. They align with what it is that you're trying to do. That's mindset. So you start feeding your mind with great people. You start feeding your mind with great education. You start surrounding yourself with people that acknowledge you, and they acknowledge what your goals are. And it becomes a lot easier. And sometimes you have to get rid of those that maybe don't have the mindset that you have. Doesn't make them bad people. It just means that it's just not right for you. So, you know, there were plenty of times where I had teammates or I had people that they were not the right people for me to work out with. They were not the right people. They didn't have the right attitude. And so they were not right. It didn't make them bad people. It just meant that I was not going to associate with them. So, you know, to make it easy or make it easier, check your mindset. Check your mindset on, if you're building a personal injury practice, check your mindset. You know, what does your mind focus on? What is it looking at problems all the time? Are you constantly this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem? Because if you are, that's what you're going to have. You are going to have what you're thinking about. And sometimes it's interesting because that muscle is so well worn on negativity, on negative thoughts, on negativity, that it feels like it's almost grooved in, but it doesn't have to be. And you can change. You're powerful enough that you can change the instant you decide it's changed. And that's the beauty of it. So that's all I wanted to talk about today was mindset. For those of you that follow me and listen to me on the way to work or listen to me in your offices and, you know, listen, I produce very short podcasts unless we're doing an interview of some kind. I usually get on a topic, talk a little bit about it just to give you a point of view that might shift your point of view and make it more aligned or a better point of view or a more productive point of view for you. And if I've accomplished that today, that's what I set out to do. On all these podcasts, they're short and to the point. Doctors, if you have feedback for this podcast or you have things that you're struggling with in your private practice, in your personal injury practice, put the comments down below because that's how I read them and that's how I find out what I should be talking about on these podcasts. Doctors, I thank you very much for your time. I thank you for what you're doing in the market today. I thank you for the amount of people that you're helping, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review and don't forget to join us on our next program.